Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to kick off with some more examples of Trump voters who now regret their decision, not simply because Trump isn't making eggs cheaper or releasing the Epstein files like he promised, but because his policies have literally destroyed their lives. But I also want to discuss how this is not simply buyer's remorse. It's another device which Trump is using to instill fear in the population. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So the most recent example of Trump regret to pop up in the news is of Donna Hughes Brown. She's born in Ireland, spent some of her childhood in Britain, but then moved to the USA as an 11-year-old, it appears. She's lived there ever since. She's a grandmother now. She has a green card, very much a documented migrant, all legal and above board. She's run a business. She's married to an American man born and bred. But after visiting Ireland on her return, she was detained by ICE. She is now in isolated detention. Reason? Well, I'll get on to what I think the real reason is in a few minutes, but the stated reason is because she wrote a $25 check which bounced in 2015. Her husband, Jim Brown, is a veteran, says he voted for Trump. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he says he specifically voted for Trump because of his promise to deport epic numbers of illegal immigrants. Now, I suppose in his defence, he could say that his wife is a legal immigrant and so should not have been in danger. However, Mr. Brown, particularly as a military man, should have considered a few strategic factors here. First, MAGA are very openly not just anti-illegal immigrant, but anti-immigrant. Anyone paying attention would have realised that the aim of the policy was to dramatically reduce the number of people in America, and so Trump's government would use the path of least resistance to do just that. Second, Trump and those around him have frequently even described born and bred Americans as not really American, right? You know, being American has got nothing to do with where you're born or where you grew up or anything. For these people, no, it's whether you fit or not. Why was that not a warning bell? And now Mr. Brown, like so many others, is left to repent at leisure. He may never see his wife on American soil again. That's how serious it is. She's set for deportation next week. Now, maybe this will be halted, maybe not. If she is deported, and it sticks, because the Supreme Court are slowly whittling down the legal path to challenging Trump's unconstitutional overreach, then Brown is left with a pretty terrible choice. Either apply for asylum in Ireland to be able to live with his wife there, and they both have to make a new life in what is frankly a strange land to both of them, only able to visit their children and grandchildren in America every now and then, or he breaks his marriage vows and sacrifices his wife. What an awful prospect. So yes, he says he 100% regrets voting for Trump. He specifically voted for Trump, he said, because of his promise to deal with illegal immigrants. Now, obviously, like I say, he didn't think that applied to his wife, clearly, and potentially with good reason. But what is an illegal immigrant? Whatever the government says it is. Trump supporters heard illegal immigrants. What they should have thought was MAGA is an anti-immigration movement. It's not just an anti-undocumented migrant movement. It's a nationalistic movement. It's anti-all immigration, like all other nationalist parties. So all immigrants were in their sights. How this man didn't think about that is absolutely incredible. I'm guessing in the military, he was not their intelligence officer. Put it this way, none of what Trump has done has surprised me in the slightest. So why should it have surprised those who had a stake in getting their vote right? And there's something else which needs to be considered. This is where this goes beyond shaking your head at the stupidity of some people to something much darker. This woman may or may not be deported, shattering their cosy family life in the country they've both basically spent their lives. But for millions of even legal migrants in America, stories like this generate a climate of fear. It's all designed to make people who don't fit the MAGA ideal feel uncomfortable, like second-class citizens, if they can even feel like citizens at all. That all it takes is to put one foot out of line and you can be exiled forever from your home and family. And this works on born and bred Americans as well. Let's imagine a future. After stories like this have seeped through to every corner of American society, doesn't matter whether they're deported or not, just the fact that they could be. So it's been established that anyone who was not born and raised in America is a potential target. That if the government wants to deport you, they will. If you'll pardon the expression, trump up some charges and kick you out. This not only acts as a threat to the potential target, but everyone they love. So if an all-American hero veteran, for example, challenges the government a bit too strongly, they won't touch you, but they see that your partner is only in America because of their green card and target them. It could work as a control mechanism for anyone who is even close to someone born overseas, regardless of their legal residency status. It's not necessarily about slimming the population down, because they don't want the population slimmed down, really. The MAGA base do, but the authorities don't. It's about beating the population down. It's control. The nail that sticks up gets hammered down. MAGA is creating a climate of fear. To generate that climate, they need victims, lots of victims. So many that it becomes common knowledge that the government have shifted the goalposts on what is and isn't a legal migrant. Basically, they want the population to think that a legal migrant is not someone with the right paperwork, but with the right attitude. So people like this woman are being targeted for a bounce check from years ago, not because they think it's a heinous act, just because they need lots of victims in order to provide the fuel for that fear. I mean, let's look at how this has been playing out so far. Project 2025's 900-page wish list labels every non-citizen as a deferred deportee, right? So the sword of Damocles is constantly over you. The play isn't mass raids tomorrow, it's leverage now. Plate readers on patrol cars ping ICE in real time. A draft rule lets states yank your green card overseas if you show hostile attitudes towards American values. What's hostile and what are American values? Whatever the government says it is. They don't define it, they don't have to define it. So it could be a campus chant or a retweet. In 2019, a French engineer with a decade-old green card landed in Houston, right? Border police found an anti-war blog that they wrote in college 2003, ancient history. They held him for 4 hours. They logged it as a negative encounter and flagged every future trip. Now that at the time seemed fairly paranoid, but the new plan makes that standard. Old school criteria, public charge, moral character, belief compatibility, they're back, right? Medicaid, ACA subsidies, Section 8, pending rules would treat any of it as a strike when you renew or you naturalise. So even if you haven't done anything wrong, you haven't even written a dodgy check, if it looks like, oh, you seem to be drawing some benefits, we don't want you taking taxpayer money, yeah, you're undesirable now. So a mother who legally signed her US citizen kids up for CHIP could see her extension delayed for self-sufficiency concerns. They don't have to deport you, remember. They can just starve your status, no re-entry parole, no college aid for your kids, no SBA loan for your taco truck. A broken tail light, name runs through ICE, decade-old dismissed charge pops up, weekend in county jail while ICE decides whether they're going to chuck you out of the country or not. You know, Monday, all they know at work is you haven't turned up. Your biometric clock is still ticking. The scaffolding for that chain of events is being bolted together right now. You know, this goes beyond wondering how so many voters could be so stupid. People who are married to migrants, farmers, Latinos, why would any of those groups have voted for Trump? But it doesn't matter now. What matters is that Americans more widely see what is happening and, as importantly, why it is happening. And we need to stay awake in the UK as well, because Nigel Farage is certainly paying attention. There are many in Reform UK openly have a word they like to bandy about quite a bit, remigration. And they don't just mean for people who were born overseas either. This is nationalism. It's always what nationalism is. If you vote for a party promoting nationalism, be aware of what you're really voting for. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.